Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D.
Free.
This is the D3.
Go. Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's arts
and entertainment scene.
This is the D.
Brave.
All right, it's been a while. Let's see if we remember how to do this. This is Detroit's podcast for concerts, comedy, plays, food, drink, and more. Today is Tuesday, January 8th, 2019, and I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
And I'm Becky Scarcello.
Here's the way it works. If you've never listened to the podcast before, I am the guy who is relatively new to the Detroit area. We're going to have to see how much longer I can ride this.
I think it's a while. I mean, you need to be here a while.
Before I can...
Yeah.
Okay.
And what is it?
3.5 years?
Yeah,
All right.
3.5. So...
How long have you been here?
I'm not going to reveal that, but it has been pretty much my entire life with a few forays here and there living elsewhere.
And you're teaching me. That's the way it works.
Yep.
All right. Well, look, we've got an exciting show for you today. In the show, you're going to hear my conversation with Leah Smith. She is the director of The House on Poe Street, which is opening at the Detroit Repertory Theater this week.
And I'm going to tell you about some Detroiters who have made it big in the music world who are giving back.
There is a Royal Oak native son, Bruce Campbell. I love this guy. He's just one of my favorites.
It makes you chuckle.
He's, one of those B-movie actors that I just love. I love all the things he's done over the years. And he's got a new TV show. We'll tell you about it.
I want to tell you that Thursday, we're excited about our in-depth interview with Stephen Rogenson of Batch Brewing. So he's going to tell us all about starting that up.
I love that place.
It's so great.
I mean, not just the
Food,
beer, the food.
Yep.
Is amazing as well. Don't forget that we talk about a lot of things in this podcast. If you want to know everything that's going on because you don't have a pencil, you're not writing it down as we talk about it, head over to our website, thedebriefdetroit.com, and while you're there, sign up for the email list, and we will email you links to everything that we talk about.
And super easy, you can use your phone to text Detroit to 444-999 to get the email list as well.
All right, let's meet today's guest host.
This is the D.
Brave.
This is a guy that if you've listened to this podcast at all, you're going to know. You're going to know this voice immediately. Because first of all, he started the podcast with me.
He did. He predated me.
Yes. Long time ago. We're excited to have him on. He is a fantastic comedian. He appeared on Kevin Hart's Heart of the City 2 when they did the Detroit episode. They came through. He was one of the comics that they handpicked. He is headlining Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle for the first time in his career over there in Royal Oak on Thursday, January 10th. And also, if you want to go see him, you can check him out at the Holly Hotel, which is a great place to see a comedy show. He'll be there headlining on the 25th and the 26th. Mr. Mike Geeter, welcome back to the podcast.
Woohoo!
Same for me.
Hello.
Glad to be back, man.
This is so awesome.
It is.
The trio's back.
We followed your career quite a bit on this show over the years because, obviously we were talking about the Kevin Hart thing when we started this podcast. This is another big step for you. You are headlining your home club, Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Yeah, man. As a local comedian and home, it's hard for a comedian to headline their home club. And so I'm over the moon right now. All the superlatives, ecstatic, just honored to be asked to do that. And I'm hyped. People, you need to come out and watch the show.
So Thursday night.
I'm putting it on. I'm putting it down.
What happens when you do that? Do all the people that you knew back in high school come out and people you haven't talked to in 15 years?
Well, listen, everyone from Yaktown, that's Pontiac for all of you you people that don't know, everyone from Yaktown should be there. Every single person should be there. And if they aren't, there are going to be plenty of seats for other people. I have people from work and my day gig and friends that I haven't spoken to in a while. They all plan on coming out. And I fully expect this place to be packed.
Nice.
Fully expect. Sold out show.
This is a stage that you are familiar with.
Yes, I am.
I mean, you came up through this club.
Yeah, man.
Explain how that works.
Well, I took a class there, and I'm a firm believer in that you can't teach funny. You're either funny or you're not. You can teach people the art of writing. You can teach them the tempo and all. But if you're not quick on your feet and you don't have that sense of humor, you can't really teach it. So what the class did for me was gave me the impetus to get on stage constantly. So once I graduated from the class, I was on stage every weekend, going over to Canada. I was over in Windsor Friday and Saturday most weekends. Anytime I can get a spot on a show, local show, I'm on it. And from that, I got better and stronger and faster, turned into like the comedy version of the $6 Million Man, and boom.
You took the class. Is it fair to say later in life? I mean, I know you look 12 looking
Yes,
at you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
22
You all
at
can
the
see me.
most.
Thank you. Thank
Most,
you.
yeah.
You all are two big liars.
But this is a,
No,
is a
it goes
career change
around
for
because
you,
we're the
right?
same age, so it's
Yeah.
also like complimentary to myself.
Right.
I mean, but you actually do look 22.
But you have, I mean, like you said, you have a career.
Yeah.
You're what are you by day? You're
I'm an engineer. I design stuff.
So what is it like to get up on stage, at the stage that you're at life, and what makes you move forward and do this? Because look, we're all older, and
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy just to do your main job.
and
let
these
alone,
open mics are some
Yeah,
some
sure.
young
That's right, Becky. It takes a
kids.
lot of energy to
It
do my
does.
man. It just wears me out. No, here's the
on.
thing. I mean, here's the thing. I'm a firm believer in if there's something that you want to do, you will make the time to do it. You will put in the effort to do it. And I've always been funny. I'll say it. I ain't afraid. I've always been funny. From my family, making them laugh, and friends, and coming up through school, I was class clown in high school and all. And it was a way for me to get over being nervous and shy. I'm
yeah.
kind of a shy guy. Not so much now because I don't care now. I'm old. So, but when I was younger, I was a shy person. So to break the ice, I would crack jokes and make people laugh. And I figured if they were cool enough to laugh at what I'm saying, I could talk to them. That would just ease things for me. And anyone that knows engineers aren't particularly born with a sense of humor. They're not. They think they are, but they're corny.
Wait, what kind of jokes do you hear in the office then?
Oh God!
that
Being
don't
an
come
engineer,
from
I hear a lot of electrical engineers. They'll tell stupid jokes. They have like ohms or voltage or some stupid punchline.
Puns.
Yeah, puns. And they're like, "Yeah, you can use that on stage." Yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Let me write that down
Yeah.
as I walk away from them. No, I can memorize it.
like kind of like dad jokes.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of dad jokes, and it's just sad. It's sad. And then when I tell them one of mine, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're good." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right." Yeah. So yeah, man. This is something I've always wanted to do, and I got a chance to do it, and I kind of have this pit bull hold on it. I love to perform, and I feel like this is. Everyone should be of service to their fellow man, and I think this is my service to people. This is my testimony. This is how I make people feel better. And the coolest thing in the world is when someone comes up to me after a show and say, "Hey, man, I had a bad day, a week, lost my parent, lost my kid." I've had people come to me, tell me that their friend had cancer and was dying. Than the next few weeks, and they brought her out, and she loved my set. She laughed, and that happened out at the Holly Hotel. And I went back into the green room and cried because it moved me, and that stuff like that happens quite a bit in the 6-7 years I've been doing it, and that's really why I do it.
So how do you come up with your material? Where do you get it from? How's it? You're funny in general, but when you're not reacting to situations.
Oh, you want to know the process?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you the process. You guys might want to write this down. I wake up and I write and think of everything that happened during the day before I go to bed, because something is going to happen. People don't believe me. I have this Larry David type of life. Weird stuff happens. And I'm like, that's funny. And I talk about it. I just live. I don't have to really write anything down. I live. I jot stuff down. I change the story a little bit to make it funnier. But yeah, just living. I have stories. I have stories. And the cool thing with starting so late in life is I go up against a lot of younger people. And they don't have a lot to say.
Right.
You
They haven't
talk
done
about what
much
you
yet.
know. Right. They haven't
Right.
done much. I've done so much from age 15 to now. I have stories I haven't even touched that I'm dying to talk about. But there are they're in the chamber. I have like 30 other stories before I get to that one, and it's just weird. It's weird and it's exciting. I can come up with stuff off the. Give me a topic, I can give you something.
All right, well, very cool. Well, we're excited that you're here.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
And of
Glad
course,
to be
people can
back.
go check you out on Thursday, the 10th. You're going to be at the Comedy Castle. You're also going to be at the Holly Hotel later this month, 25th, 26th. That's a great room to play.
Yes, sir. It's an exceptional room, and this will be my 4th time there.
Yeah.
2nd time headlining.
If you've never made the trip out, I mean, that's worth making a whole sort of evening out of.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Come on.
Definitely. Well, cool. Hang out, and we'll have a good time.
Keep up with us.
The D.
Download our mobile app.
The D. Breathe.
Becky, what's going on in music news?
Well, I'm going to relate this to Mike. So as you're getting bigger, you're doing headlining, Mark Ridley's, you're growing as a comedian. When you make it big and have your millions of bucks, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, you meant billions.
Billions, trillions,
Trillions.
zillions.
I'm going to be the Bill Gates of comedy.
Right.
That's my goal.
Like if you could give back, help, especially Metro Detroit, what would you do with it?
Help out the school system. Kids, you got to help these kids out. And that's across the board. I have 2 sisters that are educators, and I see what they deal with and they have to go through, and it's bunk. So I would do something to help out the kids, first and foremost.
I'm with you, and I think you nail it, and that's why I love stories like this. So Detroit rapper Cash Doll, she recently gave 4 Detroit young women scholarships to go to phlebotomy school.
What is phlebotomy? Am I supposed to know?
Well, you might not, and I have to make sure I'm saying that right, but it's the practitioners that take your blood to test it in medical
okay.
situations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it's called.
All right.
So it's a very great way to get into the healthcare field. And it's not really that expensive, but it's $5,000 expensive, and it takes a few weeks to do. And quite frankly, that's a pretty big barrier for some people, and especially in the city of Detroit, but it leads to a career. So this is really impactful that Cash Doll did this. So she had applicants write essays saying why they would be good recipients. Then she surprised them at this Phlebotomy Express Training Center that's located across from Mumford High School, very strategically, to be a pathway for some people to, get careers. She surprised the recipients in person, let them know that all expenses paid, they would not have to spend a dime to be able to go to school.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and change their lives. So she thinks about it as like she can relate. I mean, she's making money now. She's got this great music career, but she was the eldest of 6. She was raised in one of the pretty rough neighborhoods of Detroit, Dexter and Joy Road, if you're familiar with that area. Her mom had 5 kids by the time she was 21. And Cash Doll's father was not in her life, So she was a stripper at one time. She knows what it's like to just try and make money and not the best ways you would choose.
Right.
So this is what she's doing with some of her money, and she hopes to make it an annual tradition.
And like you said, it's one of those things where it's not a ton of money in the grand scheme of things, but
Right.
if
The
you're in a
impact.
certain position,
It's a ton of money to
it's
those
a ton of
people
money to those people,
who receive it.
which makes a
Absolutely.
difference.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It goes a long
It's
way.
just a step out.
You know where else I've seen that? I mean, you talked about, Mike, how you took the comedy class at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, and that doesn't cost, a ton. I mean, it's like $200, $100. I think for the
Right. 250.
But even there, I mean, I've seen some comedians at open mics where that's a ton of money. It's
a barrier.
It's a
Yeah.
barrier, even though there are other people for whom that's not a lot of money. So and it can make the difference between starting somebody's career. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So another really cool giving back story. So are you guys familiar with Mosaic Youth Theater here in Detroit?
I have heard of it, but I've never.
Same.
Oh my gosh. So if you have a chance to go to a show, you've got to go, because these are kids that perform. It's all a way to fill the gap in Detroit arts education. So we talk about this. Arts education is chronically underfunded, especially in the city of Detroit, but largely in the metro area too. So theater, vocal music, even like the technical aspects of stagecraft, that's what Mosaic does for kids. So it's after school and in the summer. They just got a $1 million gift.
Wow.
By far the largest ever in their 27-year history. And it came from an Oak Park native, Jeffrey Seller. He's the producer of Hamilton.
Wow.
So he has a few bucks, and he's chosen to give $1 million of it to Mosaic.
Does he have a Detroit connection? Why?
Just that he was born in Oak Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And he really believes in the mission. He's come back for those Detroit homecoming events, that Cranes puts on.
Right.
And, they really look hard at where are places in the city that are really doing it well. And
Right.
so he thinks, theater changes lives. He's proof of that. And Rick Sperling, who started Mosaic Youth Theater 27 years ago, he, has just been an inspiration to many, including Jeffrey Seller. And Jeffrey said, I quote, "Mosaic has lifted and enriches the lives of thousands of young people, and I'm honored to support this." And he gave through his New York Foundation, and it comes at a really pivotal time because Mosaic's leader, Rick Sperling, has stepped down and giving the reins over to a couple of women, executive director Stephanie Worth and artistic director Delashea Strader. So it's kind of this great chance to fulfill their dreams and goals. They're going to be able to run for 5 years basically with this $1 million for 500 kids a year they serve.
So now we got to figure out when this podcast becomes huge, who we're going to write a big check to.
I know, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're inspired.
Any
You can
day
write a
now
big
it
check
could
to
happen.
me,
Yeah.
right.
We're inspired. Well, maybe together if we combine
Together, right.
our
$76.23.
There you go. There you go. So you've probably heard about this Surviving R. Kelly documentary on Lifetime.
Yes.
Yes. So I don't know if you realize there's a Detroit connection there. So the producer is from Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Dream Hampton. She was born
Yes.
in... Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a powerhouse. I mean, a writer, filmmaker, activist. She worked in the hip-hop industry for over 30 years with people like Tupac, Jay-Z, Nas. She wrote for Vibe and The Source magazine. So she went to Cass Tech. That's where she kind of started her interest in the field and began a lot of her projects. And then she went to New York. So apparently this documentary, she just put her whole heart and soul into it and really wanted to tell this story about, all these allegations that R. Kelly has sexually and physically abused women, young girls, for years.
No, it sounds like she had a lot of connections to rap artists at the time. Did she actually have connections to R. Kelly?
I don't think directly, but a lot of indirect, and was just really, wanted to tell this story about just how crazy. And she also, of course, Aaliyah is from Detroit, so she also delves into, how Aaliyah was 15 when she married R. Kelly, who was 27 at the time.
That's just so...
they met when she was 12. It just, So it's been on Lifetime. It ran last week, but you can go catch up.
She was 12 and he was...
20. Well,
10 years older than...
12 years older.
12 years older.
Yeah.
She was
See,
15.
I can see if you meet somebody when they're 12 and you're 12 and then later
not
on...
the case.
Yeah, but...
And get married, Seth? Is that what you're saying?
I just...
Married at 12?
Not
No.
married at 12.
No,
but
no,
like
no.
you grow up and, they're
but even
childhood
at
sweethearts.
15, I mean,
Right.
But so
Yeah, man. Not a fan.
yeah, so
I
we'll
gotta
see.
shower now.
Exactly, it's pretty sickening. So I have a couple of concert picks coming up. Thursday, January 10th, Casey Musgraves at the Relic Music Theater. Saturday, January 12th, Latin Jazz All-Stars at the Music Hall. I love this kind of music. I just think it's fun and energetic. Guaranteed
Yeah.
you're going to want to dance.
That's my
like
jam.
Afro-Cuban, salsa, Brazilian, all that kind of Latin jazz.
This is one of those things where I don't actually know anything about the music, but every once in a while I'll just be like, Alexa, play Latin jazz.
Exactly. Like usually when you want to get something upbeat.
Right.
You go,
And
yeah.
It's just all Ricky Ricardo music.
I do that all the time, like Alexa, play Bollywood, because I love that
Just wanna
stuff every
groove.
once in a while.
Wednesday, January 16th, a band called Lettuce is at St. Andrews Hall. Now, I didn't know about them, so I kind of looked them up, but I think this is going to be a cool show. They're a funk band that formed in 1992 in Boston, and all their members have toured and played with all sorts of other famous people. One of the members is a permanent member of the Dave Matthews Band, and I think it's going to be a fun, upbeat show. So, on sale coming up. Who's a parrot head around here? What do you guys think about Jimmy Buffett?
A parrot head?
Yeah.
Oh, this is...
They call Jimmy Buffett fans.
Are you?
Jimmy Buffet. I used to go to his Margaritaville restaurant.
The restaurant.
Really? I've had the Land Shark beer.
It is crazy phenomenon. So he's played at DTE for 33 years. And so everybody goes wild for it. So this Friday, January 11th, tickets go on sale for his.
But I think people did that because of all of the weed. And now that it's legal.
Do you think it's going to fall off?
Yeah, it'll be like, when you're not supposed to drink alcohol, when you're underage.
You always want what you can't have.
Right, and when you turn 21.
All these careers are going to die. Annie
Right.
DeFranco, Grateful Dead, Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Right. Apparently, he's got an Escape to Margaritaville musical that's coming next week. So I think once you do a musical about yourself, it's not really going to be live show. I don't know.
Geeter the musical. I like that.
But save it till you're like 75.
Yes.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll have lots of stories by then. Coming up in just a few, Puppet Art Theater has a new home. We'll tell you what it is.
The Debrief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.
All right, there is a new show opening. It's The House of Poe Street. It is a dark comedy, and it is the world premiere that is happening. It opens this January 10th, Thursday night, and runs through March 17th over at the Detroit Repertory Theater. This is an amazing theater. I didn't know this story until I went over and sat down with the director and had the conversation. But this place has been around forever. It was founded in 1957 as a touring children's theater, and it's the state's oldest professional nonprofit theater.
Yeah, it's one of those gems that people don't always realize that we have.
So I sat down with Leah Smith, who's the director, and she is going to take over as the artistic director because the guy who's been there for like 61 years at this point.
Holy cow.
Yeah. They believe he may be the longest serving artistic director in the country.
I wouldn't dispute that.
Bruce Milan, who is 89 and he's retiring, she's going to take over soon. But Leah Smith is the director of this particular production called The House on Poe Street. Like I said, it's a dark comedy. It's written by Fengal Gale. They have done some of Fenger's other works there at the Detroit Rep. And I asked her, I said, what's this play all about?
Two twins have inherited a house in New York City where Poe allegedly wrote The Raven. And they're young and vibrant. They are, some would say, an experiment because their mother was a gene editing scientist. They were supposed to be boys, but they came out into the world as girls. And they're extraordinary human beings, extremely intelligent and full of life and want to change the world. And how to change the world is possibly feminizing it.
Sounds good.
I thought that's where you might come down on that issue.
Funny enough.
How do you feel about
I would go
feminizing the
see-
world?
Feminizing the world?
Yes.
Growing up with 10 sisters, a mother and a grandmother in the
Right.
house.
You're already
You're already
properly
feminized.
The
feminized.
world's pretty feminized.
Yeah, so this comedy is set in this house that Edgar Allan Poe supposedly wrote The Raven in. And so I got a chance to go, and, not only did they tell me the history of this theater, how it was this bar, and then they knocked down this convenience store that was next door, and that became the theater, and the original bar is still in there. But then I walked in, and they were building the set for this particular production. And the set just looked really, really cool. So I actually asked Leah about it.
This house was once a boarding house in the 1800s, split up. And through the generations and the many owners and people who have lived there, all the walls were torn down and to turn it into a single family home. And it's entirely decorated and painted in various shades of red.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's
Creepy.
It's creepy. I mean, it's Poe-ish,
Yeah. No, it fits.
Are you guys big Edgar Allan Poe fans?
Yeah.
I can get down with.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I loved when he played for the Lakers.
Yeah.
His three-point shot was incredible.
I mean, I've read some of his stuff. I mean, I had to in school.
I think,
feel like,
I think the Telltale Heart is
right,
The
still
that's the
Raven's
one.
a
And the
classic.
one of the
Raven was
most,
one of the,
builds that suspense and tension. It's a master.
I always think of the Simpsons episode that was the Halloween episode that was based on the Raven. They did
Oh,
one.
yeah.
The Treehouse of Horror. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, Leah is not only the director of this particular production, she is also going to take over as the artistic director. And she told me a little bit about the mission of Detroit Rep.
A diversity-centered mission where we take plays and cast them regardless of race or ethnicity, sometimes gender, unless absolutely relevant to the play. In 2018, that's still a rare thing. Hamilton made the news a couple years ago because, woo, there's African Americans playing traditional white roles. We take it a step further. It doesn't matter Our twins, for example, look very different from each other. Sarah Catherine Wolf and Ashley Lyle. But they're fabulous actors. And what is the point of the story? It is not what they look like. It is who they are.
I think that's
like
a good
that.
mission.
I think
like
that's
that.
really
Yeah.
cool. And I think it just adds this different element of interest, that people want to see.
Well, and it's something that they're talking about. I mean, they're talking about it a lot in movies these
Yeah,
days,
exactly.
things like that. It does beg the question, Mike, if you could play any white role, what traditionally white role would you play?
Colonel Sanders.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, you got the beard for it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
They're doing it too. They're putting all these comedians in the role.
Yeah,
So-
there
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a few years ago. There was a push to put Tracy Morgan in as Colonel Sanders.
He'd be good.
Yeah.
I think he'd be
could see
hilarious,
that,
but
yeah.
I don't know if they want to touch a black guy doing the whole chicken
the
commercial
fried
thing.
chicken.
I'm just
Yeah. Then it's playing into, then it's
Right.
becoming something it shouldn't
saying. And
be.
he's and what is that? Reconstruction South. There's a lot of tiptoeing going on there.
Right.
I
Maybe you
understand.
can just sell mashed potatoes.
But you'd be down with Colonel Sanders.
I'll be down.
That's pretty
What
good
about
choice.
you, Seth? What black role would you want to play?
Woman.
Black woman?
Woman?
Yeah, let's just
Yes.
say.
Let's be
that's
specific.
that's easy.
Okay.
I'd play Whitney Houston because then I'd be every woman.
What
look at
no,
you.
Shaka Khan, man.
Well, Whitney did it too.
Yeah, Shaka did it first.
What about you?
What?
If you could play a white woman. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh, if only I
If you
could
could play any role that's
Not
either male or different ethnicity,
Be Latino.
would you be a crazy rich Asian? What would you?
that'd be fun, but
You could be a
Picasso.
boy in the hood.
yeah, I would probably
What would be your gangster name?
oh
Scars.
yeah, something Scar, B
Yeah,
Scar,
Scar.
Yeah, something
B Scar.
B
That'd be
Scars.
pretty
B
good.
Scar. Yeah, I would probably play somebody really masculine and like badass and like just in some kind of action flick.
Richard
I'd love
Simmons.
to do Richard Simmons. No, I would love to seriously like do my own stunts if I could jump off a building or hang from an airplane or something like that. So maybe
Wow, Tom Cruise.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he does that.
He shares my birthday, so
Oh.
maybe that's meant to be. Not the
Switch your
same
birth.
year, but the same day. So maybe that's
Maybe
like
Tom Cruise?
Maybe we're sort of the same person.
Well, there's Detroit Scientology downtown now. You can
Can't wait for that. Yeah.
Look, the House on Post Street opens this Thursday, January 10th. It runs through March 17th. I think that's 60 opportunities for you to go see this. So
Wow.
go check it out. You can find all the details at repertorytheater.com, and you can hear our entire conversation that we had. We're going to put that in the mobile app, so you can listen to it there as well. Hey, one of my favorite Detroit actors is hosting a new television show. Well, actually, it's an old television show that's being rebooted. We'll tell you about it in a minute.
This is the Debrief.
Detroit.
Becky, what's going on around town?
Sure. Well, I think in the winter you don't traditionally think as much about festivals, but there's one coming up this weekend that if you've never been in the Detroit area, you should really go check it out. It's the Plymouth Ice Festival. So this is the 37th annual. So you really have no excuse. I mean, it's super cool. 100 to 150 ice sculptures throughout downtown Plymouth in front of all the shops and restaurants and in that main park area and the main square in town. The biggest one this year is going to be 33 by 22 feet.
Holy cow.
Yeah. The good news is we have had pretty warm weather, but it's going to get cold. So if you need an upside to the cold, the ice is going to be okay this weekend. So you can go Friday through Sunday. And the sculptures are there 24 hours a day. So even if you can't go during the traditional hours, you could walk around anytime and see them. And then they're going to be up after the festival as long as the weather stays cold.
So you're saying this is one of those things, because again, new guy.
Being a new guy, you should definitely go wander about
Absolutely.
and see. And they have super cool activities with it. They have this thing with chainsaw competition, right? So they'll have two guys or women with chainsaws, 15 minutes each, big block of ice. What can you make? And you can watch them doing it. And, the ice sparks are flying.
Just don't put your tongue on.
What could you make with a chainsaw and a big block of ice?
Some bloody limbs.
Exactly. You don't want to be around me in a
I'm just
chainsaw.
like, eh.
But these are professionals.
Right.
And they also have a competition, like a friendly one among collegiate teams. So you might see like an MSU versus U of M ice sculpting going on.
Is there alcohol involved?
There is. There's a party tent back of one of the bars there in Plymouth.
And they're going to have these collegiate kids.
No, I think mutually exclusive.
You got to be sober to chainsaw.
Then you will see some bloody
The
hands.
spectators go to the party tent, not necessarily the sculptures. But there's going to be a tubing run. I think they're even going to have like some cross-country skiing demo. So totally family-friendly and fun. So check it out this weekend. On the a little bit more intellectual side, I think this is one of those areas that not a lot of Detroiters really know about, Black Bottom.
No.
I have heard of it.
Do you know even what it is?
I know that it was the neighborhood where there was a big African-American population, and then it was displaced when they put one of the highways in.
Partly right. That's, I would say, what most people might.
I've been to the historical museum.
Yes,
Yes. I saw the video on 68.
But there's really so much more to it. And I love that the Detroit Historical Museum, as you mentioned, is doing a deeper dive on this. So they have an event, really a talk and a tour about the history of Detroit's lost black neighborhood. So that's going on also this weekend. It's really, Black Bottom was the most significant historic neighborhood in the state, really. And it existed before the French even came to Detroit. So we're talking indigenous people lived here. Yeah. And then all the different iterations of European immigrants. It was demolished in the 50s, okay? It was kind of like the local governments, let's eliminate the, quote, slums.
And where is it exactly? Is it over by Boston Edison?
No,
is
by
it
375, getting close to downtown. And you'll see there's like a Paradise Valley marker, and Hastings Street was really like the center of African-American life in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. These were where all the clubs were, where thriving businesses. So, I mean, it destroyed a lot of history and a lot of people and homes. So it's, got this negative side to it and a history that not a lot of people understand. So I think this is a great chance to do it. It's a 2-hour tour for $5. I mean, you can't beat that. You meet at the Historical Museum. Historian Jamone Jordan is going to be the presenter, and then it even includes a walk over to the Detroit Public Library, which is right across the street there. They have this super cool thing called the Black Bottom Street View. They've pieced together photos of all the homes that existed and businesses into one massive kind of thing, so you can see a historical picture of what it used to be. And I think it's just super compelling to realize how that changed literally the outlook of the city.
Wow, for $2.50 an hour. That would be
exactly.
worth it.
It's totally worth it. So that's this weekend.
Can I put
Saturday.
in a request to Detroit Historical Museum if you're listening? Because the other neighborhood that I've always heard about that disappeared was Chinatown.
Yeah. Right now where like the Peterborough is off of Cass.
Really?
Yeah.
There was a Chinatown here in Detroit. See, right? Like that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So that next year. That's what I want to see.
Right. So, we talk about how downtown's changing, gentrification, things coming in and out, and how that affects, long-term businesses and organizations. So here's another sort of example of that, puppet art theater. If you've ever been. Yeah, have you been? Did you ever take your kids to puppet art theater?
I remember seeing this. I remember taking a walking tour of downtown Detroit. I don't even remember why I was on this tour. This is maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I remember seeing it because it's in
pretty big letters.
Yes.
Yeah, right next to now it's the new Shinola Hotel.
Right, and I remember
it's across
thinking
from the Hudson site.
That's really cool. Let me take a photo of that. I don't know what it is. And then I remember reading like a week later that it was going to disappear.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so they just moved, but they were there for 19 years. And the founder, Igor Gozman, has said, it's just an example. They kind of got squeezed out of downtown Detroit. Like, It's not really the place for them anymore. It's too expensive. There's not parking. So they've moved to Telegraph in Southfield. So this is not just your average puppets. This is like some world-class artists created puppets, and they do all kinds of shows that they present to all kinds of kids. So they have this new office space. They have a puppet museum. I mean, when you see these things, it's insane.
Is the puppet game that strong?
I mean,
in Detroit,
this is one of those other gems. Like, you have no idea. And
then I can have a sock, and I can.
These are not your sock puppets.
Mr. Snuffleupagus is from here. You didn't know that?
So, and apparently puppets are like, it's something that all the countries all over the world can kind of like relate to. Like, everybody has some kind of like puppet thing. So
you don't have any puppets in your comedy act?
You should.
Yeah.
You should talk to them to design a specific puppet for your
Don't,
show.
no. Puppets are frowned upon in comedy circles.
No, I know.
It's like
Just get one for each finger. You know?
I got. What about a watermelon and a sledgehammer?
Wow.
I think that's edgy.
Yeah, right.
That's
Someone
very,
should do
very,
that.
yeah, definitely. And then someone
No
should
one
not
ever.
be
Then not
you.
do it. Right.
Not
Someone
you.
should do it, then not do it.
Yeah. So I wish them luck because I'm telling you too, when you have little kids, like this is pretty sweet. And they're pairing up now with the Southfield Public Library to do exhibits and performances, and they'll travel around and do performances in different places. So
Oh, nice.
if you're into it, look at puppetart.org. So, don't you feel sad when like places, even if you still haven't like gone to them a lot recently, but that meant something to you in your younger years when they go
Yes.
away?
Yeah.
And you hear they're closing and it's like, oh,
Summit Place Mall.
man. Yeah. So one of those places for me just closed, the Luna nightclub in Royal Oak. Yeah. It used to be 3D.
What does that mean? Isn't everything 3D?
No.
the
Three
name-
drunks.
No, the name used to be 3D. It's gone through a couple name changes.
Oh! I
Three
got
drunks.
it.
That's what it was.
But I mean, that's where you'd socialize, pick up numbers, before people had cell phones.
Really?
You'd write down.
Hey, can I put your number on my hand? And then you write
Yeah.
on the back of the hand.
Buy your
if you had
drinks.
game.
Did you get picked up in Luna?
Sure, yeah.
Really?
And you could.
I did too.
I'm sure
it's
you
called
did.
Arrested. Thanks, Royal Oak cops.
And this was even before like Royal Oak was cool. It's kind of like on the outskirts of downtown, but they just abruptly closed. It was like they had a post.
I'm envisioning like 80s Becky with like big hair.
Oh yeah.
Shoulder pads.
Yes.
Shoot
all
into
this
the
hair
ceiling.
spray.
Big belts,
I think-
acid wash jeans.
I think they closed because they finally realized that everyone that was going there, they've all been married off. So they're like, we don't have anyone else to marry off. So
I don't know.
everyone's on lockdown.
I haven't been there in recent years, but they just abruptly closed. One post was, "Hey, come on out," and then like a week later was like,
Never mind.
"Sorry, we're closing."
That sounds like one of the comedy shows I've been on. Like, yeah, come on out. Yeah, never mind.
Stick around. We got shout outs up next.
This is the D Brief,
Want more?
your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.
Go to the debriefdetroit.com.
All right, there was a story that caught my attention that I wanted to tell you guys about. Bruce Campbell
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
from the Evil Dead series, from Army of Darkness. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this guy.
Huge fan.
And he's from the area. I mean, we were just talking about Royal Oak. That's actually where he's from as well. And he is about to host a reboot of Ripley's Believe It or Not,
Oh,
the
that's
television
cool.
show. Did you ever watch this show as a kid?
Of course
yes.
I did. Of course I did.
The
And
guy
whenever I go
with
to
the-
Toronto, the Yogi Kudu
What is that?
is this guy who could, like, I don't know if he was Indian or some whatever. He was a yogi. He could like squeeze himself into little boxes. And
Oh,
stuff.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
small, like a matchbook, matchbox, like that big, like 2 inches big.
Or the guy with like the giant fingernails that
yeah.
are all curled. I'm like, how does he?
And then the black lady came along. She's like, child, and her fingernails are all long.
Yeah, give me a break.
Right.
So for anybody who doesn't know, obviously Ripley's Believe It or Not is all just highlighting these weird things, weird people, weird odd occurrences in the world, and they're bringing the television show back. It's going to premiere this summer on the Travel Channel. There's going to be 10 hour-long episodes. They'll be shot at the Ripley Warehouse in Orlando, Florida. I mean, the Ripley collection is huge. It's got 20,000 photographs, 30,000 artifacts, and more than 100,000 cartoon panels.
Whoa.
Which I didn't know until I started doing some research. It actually started as a newspaper panel. It was like a little square in the newspaper where, it would tell you something weird that was there. And in the beginning, it just involved sports feats. It was actually called Champs and Chumps. It premiered on December 19th, 1918, and then eventually evolved because it was Robert Ripley who put this all together. It eventually moved to radio, and then he did about 24 short films in the early 30s, and then it became a television show in 1949. Robert Ripley died that year, but there were several other iterations. You probably know the Jack Palance.
Jack Palance.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
when I would watch it.
Yeah.
That was on ABC from 1982 to 1986. I think Dean Cain, Superman, did a version at one
Yeah,
point.
but no one cared.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I blacked that out.
I know they're going to do a version of this on BET, hosted by Samuel L. Jackson. It's called "You Believe This." No, I'm kidding.
I would watch that. I'd watch that.
So I'm excited about this because I'm
Me too.
I'm a Bruce Campbell fan. He's actually kind of a perfect choice for this,
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, how old is he now? Would you?
He's getting up
got it,
there,
right?
I mean, because he had his Ash versus Evil Dead series that was on Stars for 3 seasons.
That was pretty decent too.
Yeah, and then it got canceled.
So I wonder if it's going to be a bunch of new things, or you said it's filmed in the warehouse. If they're going to revisit old,
Probably. I mean,
Yeah,
it's probably
maybe
got
a
a
mix.
backlog that they can go. You've been to the museums. I mean, the museums are all over.
yeah, the shrunken heads, and yeah,
It's not going to be like fidget spinners and stuff like that.
No.
right,
There's,
right.
there's a lot of stuff to mine there. So
Interesting.
this summer, Travel Channel, check it out.
This is the
Detroit.
Brief.
All right, Mike, how's it feel to be back on the show?
Man, it's almost like I never left. I'm over here sleeping. And no, I'm just kidding.
It's like a comfy old easy
this
chair.
This is like a nice warm sweater.
All right. I'll take that, I guess.
I think that's
I was
good.
trying to find something relatable to you, guys. I can't say like a cool, dope, fitted or something like that.
You could.
It's like,
All right. Well, we've got a couple of announcements before we get out of here. Starting with this, we've got a live show coming up next week.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Next Monday, the
Yes.
14th of January
Nice.
at B Nectar.
Meadery. Have you ever been there? You ever had mead?
I have not.
Have you had mead?
I have not had mead.
I think you should try it.
It's essentially like a honey wine.
Yes.
For people who have never had it.
Right.
This place is awesome.
Is it better than beer?
It's
Yes, I think you'll like
Okay,
for
then
you.
I'll
I mean,
go
not that
check
it's
that
better in general than beer, but I think for your taste.
Yes,
yeah,
you
you'll
will like it.
Yeah.
This is one of those places where, and it's in Ferndale, but it's kind of off the
a
beaten
little.
path.
Yeah, there's easy parking and everything.
And you go in, you get a sampler, and everything is amazing and different and weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absolutely fantastic place to go. So, yes, that'll be happening next Monday night. Join us.
Yes.
Around 7:30ish. We'll start. We'll tape the podcast live.
We're going to tape our show, but we'll also have Jason Magic. He is Metro Detroit's premier magician. He's going to come and guest co-host with us.
I was going to say, if that's his name and he's like a plumber.
Right.
I was like,
That would be
you're
weird.
in the wrong field, bro.
No, he's aptly named, and he's going to do some live magic for us. He might even, if you come, he might, make the whole meadery disappear before your eyes. So you never know what could happen.
Well, I'll make some mead disappear before your eyes. No problem. That'll definitely happen. What about you? You got some tours coming up, Becky?
I do. Yeah. So this Saturday, the 12th of January, we have an Easter market tour, our signature Come Hungry, Leave Happy. Now, if you know us and if you followed us, we do not offer big discounts very often. But we need to give you a reason to get out of the house and do something fun. So 50% off the Easter Market Tour this Saturday by going to our website, clicking the January 12th date, and you enter the promo code half off in all caps.
All right, very cool. Look, before we get out of here, let's do some shout outs. Let's start with you, Becky. Anybody you want to shout out?
Sure. I mean, I did so many fun things over the break, but I think one of the standout things is I went to one of these pop-up concerts. Okay, so you guys know about a pop-up dinner or whatever. That's become kind of a regular thing. But have you ever gone to a pop-up concert where you didn't know where it was or who was playing?
They have them in the New York subway all the time.
Not like that.
Also, when I'm showering, there will be.
A pop-up concert.
Yes, I've been to those, yes.
Oh, you have? Oh,
He's the one in there with the lighter.
that explains the
As I'm
little
singing
looks
Purple
you guys
Rain,
are exchanging that I seem to
friends.
not be
We're
a part
friends.
of. Okay.
Purple rain.
As it's coming down. So,
Yes, so your pop-up concert. Go on.
now
Sorry.
it just really doesn't seem as exciting now. But so there's this organization. It's actually international called SOFAR. Songs from a Room is what it stands for. And Detroit has its very own SOFAR. And you go to the website, you sign up, you say, hey, I'm interested in this. And they do concerts in private homes. And it's 50 people. and you don't know where it's going to be or who's going to be playing. So you don't know where it's going to be till like 12, 24 hours before. And then you just show up and there's 3 bands there.
I want to do this.
It's so fun. So you got to go to the website, sign up, and then you enter a lottery to even buy tickets. But we had a great time, and we showed up there. It was in an apartment. It was in this apartment, like wall-to-wall people in this apartment behind the DIA on Kirby. And so it's like this forced interaction in a really good way. Like everybody's chill and fun, and you're literally on top of each other. So you're just making new friends and listening to this incredible live music, and you're in and out. It's like 6 to 8:30. And then it's like, okay, bye.
That's cool.
And it's moderated by somebody that kind of sets the tone, and yeah, people have their phones out and stuff, but it's not like everything's through the phone. It's more about the community experience. And each of the bands were like really great and a little bit different styles. 2 were local Detroiters, 1 from Ohio. So it's almost one of those secrets I kind of don't want to let out because it was just so cool and I want to go to more. But I
Good thing nobody listens to the podcast.
Yeah. but on the other sense, I encourage people because I think it's just we don't have enough spontaneity, in our going
Absolutely.
out. Like and it's like $20, and you're gonna hear some really cool music and just live in the moment.
What about you, Mike? Anybody you gonna shout out?
Listen, man, I went to one of those pop-up stores in Campus Marshes, the little teepee
The
igloo
glass
things.
huts, yeah.
Yeah. And ran into this company called Good Boy Clothing. They're out of Saginaw, Flint area. And the story behind it was the gentleman started the company the same year of the Flint water crisis because he wanted to do something to give back and all. And the clothing is outstanding. I bought a T-shirt. I'm going to order a bunch of stuff. I actually want to go to their brick and mortar store up in Saginaw to check out some threads because I'm trying to be fashionable. That's my thing as I
Trying,
age.
you're succeeding.
I know. I'm fly on most days, but
yeah.
I'm not young fly. I want to be young fly.
You gotta
like
keep
the
up with it.
youngsters.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to turn my hat to the side and play with my fidget spinner and all
Dab.
that. And dab. And
Okay,
floss.
oh man,
And, am I saying that right? Dab and floss.
Dab and floss.
I think
sounds
That's
like
my morning routine.
which sounds like what you would go through when you go to the dentist.
you sound like an older person trying to be young, though.
Yes. Hey, what you talking about, Willis? No, that's it. Yeah, and I'm also performing for the second year in a row at the Legacy Civic Fund Gala. It's the 7th annual, and that's at the Temple Theater in Saginaw on the 20th. It's on a Sunday night. They raise money, give out scholarships, complete history of Saginaw and the Black migration to Saginaw. It's a black tie event. It's really really cool, really chill. Honored to be a part of it. Looking forward to it. I have to be clean though, because there are ministers there.
Oh, and you're going to wear a tuxedo? Or?
I'm going to wear last year I wore a tux. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to wear a tux again.
Nice.
I want to see you floss in your tux.
Yeah.
You want to see me floss?
And dab.
Floss and dab. I want to give a shout out to an event that happened that you were actually at, Mike. This is an event that happened over in Ann Arbor, a place called The Ark. It's put together by Shelley Smith. She's been doing it. I think this is the 6th year.
This was the 5th year.
5th year that
My
they've been
3rd
doing
year
this.
in a row participating.
Nice.
It's called 50 First Jokes. And what it is it's a bunch of comedians who come out and they tell their first joke that they have written in that year. This was a tradition that started in New York City and is now spread to other cities. And Shelley Smith's done a fantastic job of putting it together. I just went to watch. And
Exemplary job.
it was one of the best comedy shows I've ever seen because it was just so fast and it moved and even if somebody bombed, and I don't think anybody actually bombed, I mean,
but if it wasn't your favorite or
but
something,
if the joke
next,
wasn't quite
next.
there, it worked. It was just next. And
That's fun.
It was, yeah. I mean, what was it like to do that?
I tell everyone the first year I did it was such a rush because a lot of the comedians, they're comedians from Michigan. Most of them predominantly Detroit area, but it's like a family reunion / holiday party for comics because there's food and drink in the back and all. And to catch up with some of the people that you haven't seen all year, you haven't seen in a while, it's just a good vibe. And 3 years in a row, it's not failed. This year, my jokes. I had 2 jokes, and it was just like, but I didn't care. I just like being on stage with those other people and watching them perform. So yeah, man. It's the first. I think it's the first Wednesday after the New Year.
I would tell you that this is the first time I've been. This will be on my list of things to do every year from now on because it was just a great comedy show.
Yeah, maybe you get on it next year.
Dude, I haven't told jokes in a while.
A lot of people up there had. I didn't recognize 60% of the people that were up
Oh,
there.
okay. So
like,
it wasn't just
know
me.
this person. No,
okay,
man.
yeah, all right, maybe. Well, look, Mike, people can also catch you. You, of course, are going to be Thursday night headlining Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Say it again. It feels so good.
Thursday night headlining Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. Mr. Mike Geeter.
Big hug.
Also headlining the Holly Hotel on the 25th and the 26th.
Yeah, man, and
That's a solid
Holly
January.
Holly is so dope, but nothing beats the castle.
All right. Well, come back and hang out with us again tomorrow. I also want to say thank you to Leah Smith, the director of The House on Post Street that's happening over at the Detroit Rep Theater. Go check it out. And until tomorrow, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
The D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.